Hey everyone, welcome. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer on a topic that, well, quite literally birthed quantum mechanics and powers the modern world around us. Today, we're diving into the photoelectric effect. If you've ever wondered how a solar panel turns sunlight into electricity, or, how those automatic doors at the grocery store know exactly when to open for you, you're in the right place. Before this discovery, scientists thought they had light totally figured out, assuming it behaved strictly as a wave. But as we're about to see, the universe had a massive, microscopic surprise waiting for us. So let's get our physics teacher hats on and jump right in.
Okay, here's our game plan for today. First, we'll cover the quantum mystery that totally stumped classical physics. Second, Einstein and the photon. Third, the actual mechanics of the effect. Fourth, the math behind it. Fifth, we'll bust some really common misconceptions. And finally, number 6, everyday applications.
All right, section 1, the quantum mystery when classical physics failed.
So picture this. It's the late 19th century, right? Scientists were incredibly confident that light behaved only as a continuous wave. Classical physics predicted that if you shine a really bright light on a piece of metal, the light wave's energy would gradually build up. It would heat the metal until an electron eventually popped off after a slight delay. Makes sense, right? But experimental observation completely contradicted this. Electrons were emitted almost instantaneously. And even weirder, if the light didn't meet a very specific minimum frequency, no electrons would be ejected at all. Period. It didn't matter how blindingly bright the light was. Classical physics simply had absolutely no explanation for this.
Moving on to section 2, Einstein and the photon, a radical solution.
So, classical physics was basically in a state of crisis. Scientists desperately needed a completely new way of thinking about light itself. Now, this story doesn't begin with a single eureka moment. Back in 1887, Heinrich Hertz first observed the effect when he noticed that ultraviolet light made electric sparks way easier to produce. Following him, Wilhelm Hallwachs and Philipp Lenard conducted these incredibly detailed experiments between 1888 and 1902. They proved that electrons were leaving the metal instantly and that higher light frequencies increased the electron's energy. But it was Albert Einstein in 1905 who finally put all the puzzle pieces together. And here's a fantastic piece of trivia for you. Einstein actually won the 1921 Nobel Prize in Physics primarily for explaining the photoelectric effect, not for his famous theory of relativity. That really just goes to show how earth-shattering this discovery was.
And bam, here's the massive aha moment. Einstein proposed that light isn't just a continuous wave. Instead, it's actually made up of tiny, discrete packets of energy, and we call these packets photons. Every single photon carries a fixed amount of energy based entirely on its frequency. This idea was revolutionary. It provided some of the absolute strongest early evidence for wave-particle duality, which is that mind-bending idea that light behaves as both a wave and a stream of particles.
Section 3, mechanics of the effect, billiard balls and locked doors.
Okay, so we know light is made of photons now, but how exactly do they knock electrons out of a metal? Let's use some highly relatable analogies to visualize this invisible microscopic world. The crucial point here is understanding something called the work function. By definition, this is the minimum energy required to remove an electron from the surface of a material. Keep in mind, different metals have different work functions. Think of the work function like a heavy locked door. A soft little tap on the door simply isn't going to open it, right? You need a sufficiently hard knock. In this analogy, the metal surface is the door, the work function is the lock, and the photon's energy is your knock. Tied directly to that concept is the threshold frequency. This is the minimum frequency of light needed to actually trigger the photoelectric effect. Because a photon's energy is tied directly to its frequency, well, if the light's frequency is too low, the photons just don't pack enough punch. Going back to our door analogy, if your knock is too weak, it literally doesn't matter if you knock a million times in a row, that door is staying firmly locked. Brightness or intensity absolutely will not compensate for a frequency that is just too low. Let's walk step by step through the whole process. This time, imagine playing a game of billiards. Step 1, light shines on the metal. Step 2, photons strike the electrons in a strict one-to-one interaction. The photon acts exactly like the moving cue ball, and the electron is the ball being struck. Step 3, the electron absorbs the entire energy of that single photon. It doesn't share it with neighboring electrons, it takes the whole hit. And finally, step 4, if that photon's energy exceeds the metal's work function, boom, the electron escapes the metal. Any leftover energy from that collision simply becomes the electron speed, or kinetic energy, as it goes flying away.
All right, section 4, the math behind it, rent and salary. Look, I know what you might be thinking. Please don't make me do quantum math. But I promise you, Einstein's famous photoelectric equation is incredibly intuitive when you look at it the right way. Let's demystify it using a really simple financial analogy. Here's the master equation. HF equals phi plus K max. Let's translate that real quick. HF represents the total energy of the incoming photon. Phi is the work function we just talked about, the energy required to free the electron, and K max is the maximum kinetic energy, basically the speed the electron has once it escapes. Essentially, it boils down to this. Energy in equals energy needed to escape plus leftover energy.
And this perfectly illustrates the concept using everyday finances. Think of the photon's energy, the HF, as your total monthly salary. Let's say you were in $2,000. Now, the work function phi is your rent. It's the absolute bare minimum you have to pay just to get out the door. Let's say your rent is $1,500. Well, whatever is left over, in this case $500, is your kinetic energy. It's your spending money to run around town with. If your photon salary isn't high enough to cover the work function rent in the first place, you don't get to leave the house. Simple as that. No electron emission.
Section 5. Busting common misconceptions. Frequency versus intensity.
Now, even with the math clearly laid out, this topic is actually one of the most frequently misunderstood in all of modern physics. The absolute biggest stumbling block for students is separating the idea of making light brighter versus changing its frequency. Let's clear that up once and for all. Frequency, think the actual color of the light, like moving from red to ultraviolet, determines the actual energy of each individual photon, and therefore the maximum kinetic energy of the escaping electrons. Intensity, on the other hand, is just brightness. It strictly controls the quantity of photons. Brighter light just means more photons, which means more emitted electrons, but, and this is crucial, only if the frequency is already high enough. Turning up the brightness of a low-frequency red light will never, ever give you photoelectrons. It just gives you a whole lot of weak knocks on our locked door.
Which naturally leads us to another massive myth, the idea that electrons can gradually store up energy. Classical physics kind of suggested electrons could absorb energy over time, kind of like warming up a pot of water on the stove until it eventually boils. But the fact is, the photoelectric effect doesn't care about gradual heating. Electrons do not accumulate energy from multiple weak photons over time. It's a completely instantaneous one-to-one transfer. One photon gives everything it has to one electron in a single fleeting instant.
Finally, Section 6. Everyday real-world applications, from labs to living rooms. So, we've solved the quantum mystery, we've learned the math, and we've busted the myths. But why does a 100-year-old physics discovery matter to you today? Let's take this out of the classroom. The applications are genuinely everywhere. Take solar panels, for instance. They rely completely on the photoelectric effect to convert incoming sunlight directly into electrical energy to power your house. Or how about digital cameras? The sensor in your camera uses photoelectric processes. Each tiny pixel converts incoming light into electrical signals to build a digital image. Ever walk toward the doors at a shopping mall and they just magically slide open? Yep, you're interrupting a beam of light hitting a photoelectric sensor. Even the smoke detector on your ceiling works by sensing when smoke particles scatter light onto a photoelectric sensor, triggering the alarm. It's literally everywhere.
It is just mind-blowing to think that the smartphone camera sitting in your pocket right this second relies entirely on the quantum nature of light. It's a microscopic billiard game of photons and electrons happening billions of times a second. It really makes you look at the world a bit differently, doesn't it? If a discovery from all the way back in 1905 is making your digital photos and solar grids possible today, what other invisible physics are quietly shaping your daily life? I'll leave you to ponder that one. Thank you so much for joining me to unlock this quantum mystery today, and hey, keep exploring.